Hello. I am very happy to be with you today. And many thanks to Jeanne-Marie for inviting me. Who am I? I call myself today Ghis, G-H-I-S, but this name has changed several times. When I was born, my parents called me Ghislaine Longto. And then when I grew up, and later on in my life, I wanted to honor my feminine principle. So I added my mother's name to my name, and then the name became Ghislaine St. Pierre Longto. And later on, when I realized that parents are an illusion, and we won't talk about this today, I let go of both names, both of my parents' names. So I was back to Ghislaine, just simply Ghislaine. And after that, when I let go of the sheep, the fearful sheep that I was in the past, I let go of the last part of Ghislaine, which is laine, L-A-I-N-E, and in French, laine means wool. So that's how I ended up with Ghis. That's all. Some people call me, they find it hard, they call me Madame Ghis. Other people call me Ghis. But that's the word I use today. That's the name I use today. The question is, I'm pretty well known for the bestseller book entitled The Medical Mafia. I wrote several books since then. But what the first question is, what prompted me to write that book, The Medical Mafia? Who am I to write this book? So I was a physician, medical doctor practiced medicine for almost roughly 20 years. But I did something else in addition to that. I was an entrepreneur, and I had opened up several clinics in Canada, in the US, and that's what brought me to understand and become familiar with the politics, the finances, all the insurance system of all the insurance part of the medical system, who pulls the strings, and also the legal aspect of the medical system. So, and it is far, very far from what I thought it was. The problem was the following one. The medical system is a total failure. We are more and more sick, sicker and sicker, and it's more and more expensive. I traveled in many, many countries, and especially 3 of them, where I was familiar with the medical system. Those 3 countries are France, Canada, of course, where I live, France, and the US. Those 3 countries have different medical systems, one being capitalistic, another one being socialistic. But the bottom line is the same. It doesn't work, it's too expensive, and nobody is happy with the system. So I try to understand the system. And it is so complicated that it took me many years to put all the different parts of the puzzle together. And I finally ended up with the big picture, which is the Medical Mafia. What prompted me to write it? Well, what prompted me to write it is that when I realized how difficult it had been for me to understand the system, being involved in it for so many years, I said, well, lay people cannot understand what's going on. So that was the first goal. My first goal when I wrote the Medical Mafia was to let people know of the system. Who are the players? And there are only 5 players. Who pulls the strings? How does it work? And who has the power? Where's the power in the system? And also realize that it's the very same people running the system, because it's the same system with different names, but it's the very same system all over the world. So that was my intention by writing the Medical Mafia. The other intention was to give people the answer to that I asked myself. What is health all about? How can we get healthy? How can we improve our health and get healthy? I had something, not in my mind, inside of me. There was something telling me that there had to be a solution to reach perfect health for everybody. Perfect health, not improvement of health. Perfect health for everybody at no cost. That was my search. This is what I was looking for during all those years. And this is what I wanted to share also in the Medical Mafia. So I will share with you the different steps I went through. The first step was, as I mentioned just before, was that it is a failure. It is a failure. We are getting sicker and sicker. The costs are skyrocketing. It's the biggest budgets in every country. The medical budget, the health budget is the biggest one. And it's going up all the time. And in addition to that, everybody's unhappy. Doctors are unhappy. Patients are unhappy. There has to be someone happy because it still goes on. So that was the first observation, is that the system is a failure. The system is sick, let's put it this way. Then I said, well, there are simple solutions. If we look at this system, yes, there are alternatives to this scientific medicine that we practice. All alternative medicine with the therapies, remedies, are much less expensive. They work very well. In many instances, they are much more efficient than scientific medicine. And they give good results, and they're not expensive, much, much less expensive. So the solution is obvious. Why don't we use both? Why don't we make a complementary medicine with scientific medicine for emergencies, for instance, and alternative medicine for all chronic illnesses and problems? That's obvious. It's simple. It's obvious. But we don't do it. The authorities don't do it. Not only don't they do it, but they banish those remedies and those therapies. They just condemn them and condemn people, ostracize people who practice them or use them. There are many, many, many remedies and cures available for cancer, for debilitating diseases, for what we call AIDS, which doesn't exist, for all sorts of diseases. There's everything that we need, and all those remedies and cures have been banned by the medical authorities. Why? This is the question. Why don't we use them? And why are they banned and people put in jail or killed? People who practiced them were put in jail or killed. So that was the question. Before we go on a bit more, I want to explain, go back to what I used, the iceberg that I used in the book, The Medical Mafia. To see the difference between the scientific medicine and alternative medicines. I compare the person to the human being compared to an iceberg. When I am sick, all the signs and symptoms that show up in my physical body are what we call disease or illness. They are the tip of the iceberg. They are just a manifestation of problems that are much deeper within the human body. But they are the ones who alert us. They are a sign of alert to say, hey, wait a minute, be aware, there is an iceberg, a big iceberg here, and there's a danger for your life. If you don't pay attention to this tip of the iceberg, you may be in trouble. You may have a serious problem. But scientific medicine does not think that way. Scientific medicine says we've got to get rid of the iceberg, of the tip of the iceberg in the physical body, and this way we don't see it and everything looks good. It was not always like this. Medicine used to be practiced by healers and natural therapists who would take in consideration the three aspects of the body, being the mind, the mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body. But in 1910, there was a report called the Flexner Report, which made a total switch of medicine from a natural medicine to a scientific medicine. They established a new dogma called science. And science limits the body to what I can see and what I can touch. So they limited the body to the visible aspect, only the visible aspect of the body, and the invisible was denied. So all this was denied. Doesn't exist. We don't see it. It doesn't exist. So we're limited to the physical body. What's the problem with this? Well, the problem with this is that scientific medicine treats the physical body, gets rid of the signs and of the symptoms. It just silences, put the symptoms to silence, and makes the physical signs disappear so that we don't see the iceberg anymore. Does it heal the deeper problems? Not at all. The iceberg is still there. And when the boat shows up, it will hit the iceberg and capsize. So this is very important to realize and understand why this medicine is making people sicker, because it just removes the signs and the symptoms but doesn't cure anything. Later on, so that was the way. What was the intention of the Flexner report? The intention of the Flexner report was to put the hand, for financiers, big money, to put the hand totally on medicine. So the first step was the Flexner report, which made a monopoly, a national monopoly of medicine. Later on, in 1977, with the declaration of Alma-Ata, this monopoly was transferred, became not only a national monopoly, but a world monopoly. And the UN was given through the OMS, World Health Organization, the WHO, was given the right to take over, establish the rules and regulations all over the world, and impose them. So that's why we find the same practice of medicine and the same problem all over the world, in every country. What is the difference then between scientific medicine and alternative medicines? Alternative therapies take in consideration the three aspects of the body, of the human body. They also take in consideration the emotional aspect and the mental aspect. Of course, it's so important because we know that what shows up, and you can see it here with the iceberg, that what shows up here at the top in the physical body does not come from the sky. It comes from under. It comes from the inside of the iceberg. And what's under it? Well, the emotional body, the emotions. We know that when we have deep emotions, any emotional thing that can happen in my life, I may get sick, definitely. And also that the way we think, our thoughts, are also very important for our health. So we cannot deny those two, and they're still there. So when I remove the signs and the symptoms, I don't take care, and I do not work, and I do not heal any of those two bodies which are responsible for the signs and the symptoms. So we should, when I was trying to find a solution, I said, well, why don't we use scientific medicine with, well, for emergencies, they're good aspects, and use also alternative medicine and make them work hand in hand. to get the best of both worlds and treat the whole aspect of the human being. And this is when I realized that the obstacle to this solution was the medical mafia. What is the medical mafia? The medical mafia is the organization at a national level and at the world level. So Flexner Report created this monopoly at the national level, and Declaration of Malta created the same monopoly but at a world level. It consists in 5 players. It's very important, and this is why the medical mafia, you have so many components that it's hard to understand where the power is, who makes the decision. You go to the doctor and you think that the doctor makes a decision. He does not make a decision. He just applies and obeys and does what he's been told to do. Well, who told him what to do? If you go up the ladder, then you end up to, well, medical school. Oh, who decides what is taught in medical school? Who controls medical schools? Well, if you go back to the Flexner Report, medical schools, there were 600 before the Flexner Report was put in operation. There were 650 medical schools in the US. And once the Flexner Report was put in place, it was down to 50. The only schools that could remain teaching medicine were those who had made the scientific turn, who had become scientific and scientifically recognized. So that's how the practice was reduced considerably, and the only practice that remained was the scientific one. So the players, there are 5 players. It's like the mafia. There is Don Industrio. Don Industrio is the godfather. The godfather is the one who controls everything. He's the big boss. Who's the big boss in medicine? It's the industry, multinationals. And this godfather, he's got a wife. And his wife is called Donna Governor. Who's this? Well, it's government. The government is the wife of the godfather. Well, what does she do? What does government do? Well, she obeys her husband. She serves her husband. This is what we've got to understand, that all governments serve big money. They serve the industry. The industry is in charge. And the governments obey and serve the industry. Now, Donna Governor, how does she serve the industry? Well, with Don Industrio, she has 3 children. She gave birth to 3 children, one being Financio. Financio controls all the payments, all the money aspect of the business aspect of medicine. Financio is taken care of by insurance companies. So in the US, there are private insurance companies. In France and Canada, they are socialized, they are public companies, insurance companies, but they're all turning private. What happened? Well, they said we can't handle it anymore. It's too expensive. We have to share it with the private. Remember, what did the Flexner report do? It created a national monopoly. And privatization is a transfer of monopoly from the public to the private. And this is why the national monopoly, the public monopoly, was created in the first place. So the three children are Financio, Legalo makes the laws, and the third one is Syndico. Syndico is the American Medical Association for the US, and it's the union that takes care of the doctors, or practitioners, or therapists. All the unions are controlled by Dona Governor, and they serve big money. They serve Don Industrial. So this is the key. If you understand this, you understand the whole organization of medicine, and you can see where the real power is. It is Don Industrial. Industry controls medicine from A to Z. Now, and government obeys the industry, serves the industry. This is the national level. Now, if we move on to the world level, who controls Don Industrial? Who controls the industry? Banco Mondiale. So it's different levels, but they're very same people. And again, at the level of the world level, it's Banco Mondiale, it's a bank, it's the banking system that controls the world. And his wife, who puts the decisions in application, who controls the practice of medicine, is UN, the United Nations. United Nations, who founded the United Nations? Rockefeller and Rothschild, big financiers. We're back to square one. So, but officially, this is a world government. United Nations is a world government, and the world government makes the decisions for all the national governments. So this is how you get the same politics in every country through the world organization, through the world level, which makes the decision and imposes them on every single country which is affiliated with the UN, and they all are, almost all. So this is the medical mafia. This is how it works. The question was the following. If this is the way it works, and of course you can understand that the only goal of medicine is profit. A corporation has only one thing in mind, one obligation. It's like a person. It's called a legal person. A corporation is a legal person. It's called a legal person. And it has all the same rights as a person, even though it doesn't exist. It's virtual. It has all the same rights, but number one obligation, the first obligation and foremost, is the profits of their members. So it's oriented, it is profit oriented. It is not health oriented. Then it's easy to understand that you do not make money with healthy people. You make money with sick people. So the goal, the only goal of scientific medicine is making people sick if they are not, and sicker if they already are sick. So it is a system of sickness. It is not a system of health. This is where we are today. And since they have control over everything, don't forget, they control the law, they control the money, and they control the members. They control the doctors through their union. So they control everything. And there's no way to escape to that system. So what can we do? That was my question. How are we going to find there has to be a solution to this problem and to that organized system. What are we going to do? I started finding, my first quest was finding a solution for the medical system. I said, if those people have the power to control medicine totally, what can we do about that? And I started asking myself the following question. Who's got the power? Who's got the real power? Where does it stand? Who's got it? And I realized that the patient has the power. The real power belongs to the patient. The patient has the money to pay for the system and has the decision-making power. They can make the decision to go or not to go to the doctor, and they can make the decision to give their money away to insurance companies or not. So the patient has the power. So the problem is not with the system. The problem is not with the financiers, the bankers. The problem is with the patient. The patient gave his power away and also his money away. And now he's left with no choice. He's left with totally powerless, because when he goes to the doctor treats him the way financiers want, which serves financiers, and insurance companies take his money away and apply their money to serve financiers. So who can change something? Who's got the power to change the system? Well, it's the patient. The question is, then, why did the patient let go of his power? Because the patient thinks that doctors and insurance companies and lawmakers are more knowledgeable than he is. He has given his authority to external people. He thinks that they know better and they will do better. And, well, this is not what happened. The opposite happened. My other question, so who is the patient? Well, where's the patient? The patient, because there is a body if you look at the iceberg, but there's also a soul in the bottom. We'll come back to this later. In medicine also, the medical system has a body and a soul, like any system. We talk in medicine, it's a common word to say, to talk about we call the medical body. The medical body goes from the doctor to the laboratories, to the industry, to the medication, to surgery, the whole aspect and all the organization of medicine, of the system, this is the body. Everybody that has something to do with the system. But if there is a body, there has to be a soul. There is no body without a soul. Who is the soul in the medical system? Well, the soul is always the essence, the raison d'être. Well, who's the soul of the medical system? Well, it's the patient. The patient is the soul of the medical system, because if there is no patient, there is no system. If there's no patient, if tomorrow people stop going to the doctor, there is no medical system. It's so simple. If tomorrow people stop going to the banks, there is no banking system. So the power, the real power, the real power is within the individual. It's in the soul. And the power, the medical mafia with the power of big money is a false power, because the real one is within the hands of the patient. So the only ones who can bring back order and fix the system, not only fix it, but heal the system, are the patients. The patient, if the patient takes back his power, the control over the practice of medicine and over his money, the financing of medicine, he will put order back into the system. And what is order? It's health. Disorder, sickness is always a manifestation of disorder. So in order to put it back, to get back to order, we have to put the real power in place. What's real? What is true? Well, that was the solution I found for the medical system. My next question was, well, if I can heal this system, the second question was, what is health? Then what is health for an individual? Well, it's the very same thing. Healing and health for an individual is going back to order, which is give the power to where it belongs. So where I realized that it was absolutely the same. What applied to the system applied to the individual. So if the soul of the system has the real power, the soul of the individual has the real power. So, going back to this iceberg, there is more than the three bodies. There is the soul. I want to say a few words about the soul, the word soul. The word soul is used most of the time to describe the emotional body, whereas the soul is the divine aspect of ourselves. And the spirit, most of the time the word spirit is used to talk about the mental body, whereas the spirit is the divine, universal divine, and when it does create, it individualizes to create a person, a human being. It starts with the soul, which has the same attributes, but starts being in time and space, enters time and space with the soul, and then it creates the mental, emotional, and physical bodies. you can see that all those are a manifestation of the spirit, the creative spirit, which is all over in the world. Well, if this is a manifestation of the divine creative spirit, we are divine, because this is what we are. Oh, so I realized that the ultimate authority, and that's very important, which is called sovereignty. The word sovereignty means the ultimate authority. I realized that the ultimate authority lies within me, not outside. And what we call the divine is not outside, which is the ultimate authority. It is everywhere, but it is inside of me, the deepest part of me. It is inside of me. So I am divine. All the way through, I am divine. My next question was, how come? If I am divine, how come that I am not immortal, that I get old and I get sick and I die? Doesn't make sense. So I realized that by nature, by who I am immortal, perfectly healthy, and youth, eternal youth. This is reality. And disease is when I have forgotten reality. If I am disconnected with who I really am, I'm disconnected, then I get sick. So that was a total new way of seeing medicine. And where does health stand? What is health all about? It's being connected to who I really am and behaving as such. So here it is, recuerdo quién soy, remember who I am and behave as such. This is a total transformation of consciousness. What do we do with this? We have to realize that what we have done until now, the kind of medicine that we have practiced, is not enough, because it can improve. We can improve health. We can make people feel better. We can make them live longer. But we still die. So we're facing a fundamental situation. It's not a problem. It is a situation, a fundamental situation in the definition of who we are. People, big money, they know that the soul is all powerful, that the power resides in the soul, the real power. And this is why they have banished everything that can put us in touch with the soul. And this scientific turn that was imposed to medicine was imposed to all the systems. And it was to maintain this separation between the body and the soul and the spirit. And as long as you can maintain people separated, and that's the only problem of humanity. as long as you maintain them separated from who they really are, divine entities, you have full control over them. Why? Because they live in fear. So now we're going to go and address fear, because that is the only problem. We are fearful people. We are born in fear, we live in fear, and we die of fear. Well, this is a problem. This is the only disease. It's fear. Where does fear come from? Fear comes from the separation that we just talked about, the separation between the body and the soul. If we transfer the iceberg onto a chart, here's the fear, this is the transformation, this is the soul, this is the spirit, and here are the three bodies. The two invisible bodies are here, and the physical visible body is here, which is this one here. Fear comes from the separation. It comes from this separation between the body and the soul, this separation between the body and the soul. Here's the soul. Why are we separated? Because we have forgotten who we are. We think of the Creator as an external authority. Instead of external authority, instead of realizing that the authority, the real authority, is within, inside us. And since we think that external authorities, that the utmost authority is outside, well, we're separated. The Creator is outside, and we are the creature. And this separation generates fear, because what is the Creator, whoever He is? What is the Creator going to send me today, or do to me today, or impose on me today? I don't know, because I don't create. I'm just a poor creature, a victim. I'm a victim, I'm a poor sheep, and I am a victim of the external Creator. And this is why I'm afraid. This is what generates fear. So the solution is obvious. I have to realize, and this is now we're talking about becoming conscious of who we are. We have to remember who we really are. We are the creatrix and the creature. We are both. As we could see here on the iceberg, the Creator of the iceberg is the water all around that you can see, that is everywhere. This is the creative spirit that creates the soul and that creates the bodies. So the real creatrix is within me. It's deep inside of me. I am the ultimate authority. So the first thing is to realize that. And in the book Medical Mafia, I called it the individual sovereignty. Here it is. Individual sovereignty. I remember who I am. And this is the key to health. There's no way I can become healthy, young, and immortal without remembering who I am and realizing that I have all those divine attributes. The second thing is to behave as such. I cannot behave the way I used to behave when I was a poor sheep. My total behavior will change from sheep to a wig mare eventually, but to a mare. And this is what transformation of consciousness is all about. What does conscience, the word conscience means? Because the solution, of course, was none of those two. The solution is to remember who I am and then realize that I am the creative spirit, the soul, and the bodies. So this is the solution, and this is what I call the health solution, and my self-healing. The self-healing is taking charge of my health, and taking charge of my health, and by becoming who I am. This is what the answer is, the full answer, the end result of this search is becoming who I am. So the first step for this is definitely conscience, a transformation of conscience. What is conscience? Conscience is a state of awareness of who I am, who I really am. And this is the whole thing. The only problem with humanity is that we have forgotten who we are. And the only question is, who am I? And when I take away all this manifestation, I end up to being the creative spirit. This is who I really am. So this is where health is. Pure, perfect health is here. No cost, what I was looking for. Perfect health for everybody at no cost. It's right here. Down here at the end of the iceberg. Down deep at the end of the iceberg. So the iceberg is not the reality. It's just a manifestation of who I am. How come that the manifestation is not perfect? Because there is a wall here that does not allow, stops me, or prevents me from being in contact with my real being. So this is the problem we're facing, and this is the solution, which is self-health or self-healing. How do we proceed? How do I proceed if I want to become healthy and improve my health and become perfectly healthy and immortal? Where is immortality? Immortality is here. When I will be a totally realized individual, I will be immortal. What does immortality mean? Does it mean I'll have to bear another, to stay around for another 1,000 years? No. It means that death does not exist anymore. It has no meaning. It does not exist. I do not believe in it anymore. And if this is what I do with death, I can do it with everything else. Everything else is illusion. Starting with the medical mafia, which we think is all-powerful, it has no power. If we stop going to the doctor, there's no more medical system, period. No pharmaceutical system, period. It's all over. It doesn't exist. No insurance, health insurance companies anymore. Over. Realize how powerful we are. But we still want to go to external authorities. That applies to scientific medicine, but it also applies to alternative medicine, therapies, remedies, which do not destroy our health, help us improving our health, but do not take us to the soul. Do not take us to a transformation in our consciousness. And this is, as long as we do not go through this wall of fear, here's the fear. As long as we do not go through this wall of fear, we will not reach who we really are, and we will keep aging and dying and suffering and all that goes with it. What applies to medical system applies to all the other systems, including money system, financial system, including legal system, all the systems. So this whole world organization it's just a scam, it's illusion. It's because we still believe in it. And we're afraid of it because we think they have the power. They don't. We do have the power. So how do I change this? Well, healing the fear. There's only one disease. And that's very important to realize that we can make it very, very simple. There's only one disease. It's fear. And there's only one remedy, is giving the power to the soul. Surrender all my power, false power. Surrender the power to the soul and stop giving it away. This is the very fundamental recipe for the, well, how could I call it? It's not medicine anymore. It's health, real health. That's what it is. Why? What is? We've seen what fear is. What are we afraid of? We're always afraid of two things: losing or not having what we want, which are the carrots, the three carrots of power, money, and prestige. Or we're afraid of getting what we don't want, which are the sticks. Because fear is either this or that. And not afraid of this sticks is the stick of exclusion, the stick of dispossession, and the stick of elimination. It has to do with my having. It has to do with things that are not real. That's not the reality. It's illusion. It's just a mirror, a manifestation of reality. In reality, I don't see. It's invisible. I don't see reality. It's deep inside of me. Here it is, deep inside of me. So it's letting go of this, of giving priority to what is not real and give priority to what is real. This is the switch. The first switch we have to do is, if I get sick, for instance, if I am sick, what we used to do was to go to the doctor first, scientific medicine. When the doctor couldn't do anything for us, then we would go to a therapist who would improve a little bit, but cannot heal, definitely. And just before we die, we start wondering about something else. Maybe there's something else in life. And we start asking the fundamental questions. And this is disorder. Disorder is going from the outside to the inside. Let's reestablish order. Let's establish order which go from the deep, from the inside out to the outside. So don't try to change the outside, but get in touch with the real authority and become who you are. And this will reestablish your sovereignty and behave as such, and that will reestablish the health in the body, in the physical, and the mental, emotional, and physical bodies. So it's not by changing these that I will improve the system, my health. It's by getting to who I really am that I will improve and become who I am, which is an immortal, perfectly healthy individual. So reestablish order. If I am sick, instead of going, I never go to the doctor. I never go to the doctor, never. I don't even know if the blood was just going that far up in there. No, I think I would just put my finger on it. Don't go to the doctor. First thing, do nothing. This is the first thing to do. Do nothing unless it's a major, major, major emergency that will make you die if you don't go immediately. And even that. But unless, first thing to do, you just do nothing. And you go, you give the power to where it belongs. Call the divine inside. Call the soul. Call Diesa. Call the real power. And say, well, you have created this disease. Please take care of it. This is what it means to give the power back to where it belongs. What you can do after a while, you could get some help and go and see a therapist, have some remedies. And if there were a very special little surgery or something you needed, you could, in the very last resort, maybe think about it. This is at least the first thing you can do. Put back order in your life. Always start with where the real power is, and then go to the secondary and the third healing process. There is no solution in staying there. It is not a solution, and I'll tell you why. Because both scientific and alternative medicine, they're not, doctors aren't bad people, it's just the system. We're talking about the system. We're talking about the consciousness, the level of consciousness, and you can see by the vibes that the more powerful we get, the higher our vibrations are. And this is where we're going right now. And the higher my vibrations, the healthier I get. This is the way it goes. And when we go to any kind of medicine, again, it's giving my power away to somebody else. Should it be a doctor or a therapist? And the intention in those two is to get rid of the disease. And what I propose what I propose. Let's say what Personocratia proposes in this consciousness, in this level of consciousness, is to not fight the disease. Here's where. Let's get rid of the disease. Don't fight the disease. Make peace with it. Welcome the disease and make peace with it. Because the disease is a blessing. And remember, we saw it right at the beginning. It's a blessing telling you, hey, there's something dangerous here. Be aware. Be aware of what's going on under. And it's a blessing for the boat not to hit the iceberg. So we don't want to get rid of it. And even if alternative medicine will take care of this part of the iceberg, which is a much higher level of consciousness, it is not a transformation. Transformation is that I realize that I'm the creatrix of the disease, and I am the only one who can heal it. So then I don't go to the doctor, I don't go to the therapist, I don't ask anybody outside of me. I do not believe in it anymore. It's like death. I don't believe in death anymore. And I don't believe in medicine. I don't believe in alternative medicine either. They may improve. They may help. But it does not heal. This is not where the real power is. The real power is right here. I just want to say a last word about what is going on right now. Remember, we've talked about the Flexner Report, the Alma Ata Declaration, and now we have the Codex Alimentarius, which is a trade commission that was again established by the FAO and the World Health Organization, two branches of the United Nations. And that controls all the food. If you want to control the world, control the food. And you will control the people. So it is another tool which will eliminate, and it's in the process of being adopted by all the countries. It does eliminate all alternative remedies, vitamins, supplements, therapies. It will become illegal, and we will not be able to use them anymore. So it's very important that there's no point fighting the Codex Alimentarius. I can see it as what a sad thing. You see, it's the best of medicine we're going to lose. We're in the process of losing. And this is very sad, and I can fight it. Here's the war, and I fight it. I don't want it to happen. But what will I get with this? I get the sticks. This is one way of seeing it, but I can see it in another way, which is the real way. I'm the creatrix. I created the Codex Alimentarius. And I created, so it is a blessing. There's nothing I create that is bad. I'm perfect. The creative spirit is perfect. There was nothing wrong with anything we created. But we have to make it unbearable as a sheep in order to jump over the fence and get out of the sheepfold. Get out of the sheepfold means the transformation, make a decision, because it is a major decision to make. If I do not make the decision to leave the sheepfold, to leave the sheep mode, if I can, or sheephood, I will not become who I really am. And the problem is not, well, oh yes, we would like all to be individuals, sovereigns, and free, and find what freedom is all about, and being creatrix and responsible and accountable for who we are. That's great. But it's not going to happen unless we leave the sheepfold. We stop being sheep. This is the hard part. And it requires a major decision. But then if you stop fighting it, and you see it as a blessing, my creation, and it is a blessing for what? A blessing for me to make the big jump, to make the decision to leave the sheep mode and to become who I really am. We are, at this time, facing or living the most important moment in the history of humanity. We, you and I, have made the decision to incarnate at this moment on this planet because we knew before we came what we were coming for. It's the greatest opportunity to become who we are. It's the end of humanity and the beginning of divinity. And it's the time to create, to make the big jump into a new species, totally different, and to experience and find once and for all, experience perfect health, eternal youth, and physical immortality. Thank you.